kicks off with a triple header. The NFL is back. It all starts today at 1600 CET with Sunday NFL Countdown. Sunday Night Football live on ESPN America, home of the NFL.
Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
RG3 warming up for the Skins in the Superdome in New Orleans. He's inside, but we got to keep our eyes outside. And again, we're aided this year by the professionals, where we have you covered from A to Z. Here's Good Morning America's Ginger Z.
Chris, it will be umbrella weather for a couple of games today. Let's get right into it. Lake effect rain showers going to hit Soldier Field, and that's where we start. Chicago and the Colts here. Breezy and cool, too. Boy, behind that front, a real cool weekend. Kickoff temperature is 67. A whole lot warmer, but still rainy, as it has been through much of the day in Tampa. The Buccaneers here with the Panthers. Temperature there, 88. But again, scattered showers and storms. That's kind of the same deal up in Cleveland, and that's where we find the next game that has a little bit of rain in it as well. Mostly cloudy for Cleveland, while the Eagles come in 67 degrees, the kickoff temperature. So all three games just a little bit wet. Chris?
All right, Ginger, thank you. Glad you can help us out again this season. Appreciate it. Last season's August hype was all about the Philadelphia Eagles and their myriad of moves in the abbreviated offseason that they made to bring a Super Bowl to the city of brotherly love. Philadelphia, of course, you remember, began 4-8. Then they frankly got annoyed at themselves for letting the season slip away. They showed they were serious by winning their last four, and actually, in the end, they almost got in. They were even more annoyed because the Giants won the division at 9-7, then, of course, won the Super Bowl, Philly a game behind. They enter this season with much less fanfare, and they hope to generate their own positive news on the field. Philly opens at Cleveland, 4-12 last season in an AFC North division that saw everybody else make the playoffs. But two #1 draft picks have perked up hope on Cleveland's offense, running back Trent Richardson and 28-year-old rookie quarterback Brandon Weeden. When all else is said and done in Philly, though, the burning question, other than whose cheesesteak do you prefer, Pat's or Geno's, can Michael Vick's ribs make it through the year? Adam, we bring you back now, a new vest or flak jacket or that survived military testing. That's going to survive the NFL gridiron here?
Well, that's what the makers of this vest believe, and this is the actual vest that Michael Vick will be wearing today against the Cleveland Browns, Boom. It's an unequal vest. It's Kevlar padding. It's designed to absorb the shock that Vick will absorb anytime he takes a hit in that area. Keep in mind, he played only 12 snaps this entire preseason. I'm told he's 100%, but he will be wearing this protective vest today, and it looks like nothing more than a T-shirt, but it is designed to keep him healthy and to keep him out on the field.
And Boom mentioned Trent Richardson. It's been exactly 1 month since Richardson underwent arthroscopic knee surgery, yet he is going to start today for the Browns, the #3 overall pick. Will wear a sleeve on that knee, but he was mentally sharp on his assignments. They think he's in good football condition. Maybe he won't get a full load, but 15 to 18 touches are not out of the order with Trent Richardson today against the Eagles.
And one of the big decisions in Cleveland this week involved Art Modell. The NFL asked each of the teams in the league to observe a moment of silence in honor of the late Art Modell. This created, obviously, quite a bit of controversy in Cleveland, and Mike Holmgren, the Browns president, spoke to David Modell, the son of Art Modell, on Friday. They had extensive discussions. There were discussions ongoing between other Browns officials, and what they ultimately decided at the request of the Modell family is not to honor Art Modell before today's game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And so while other teams in the league will be having their moment of silence, there will be nothing done in Cleveland to honor Art Modell, who once moved the Browns out of Cleveland, Boom.
All right, fellas, thank you. And, of course, there's the real-life side of Philadelphia's upcoming season, the death of Garrett Reed, 29 years old, at training camp. Garrett wasn't just son of Coach Andy Reid. He worked with the players every day on strength and conditioning. The players knew him well, and they were quite fond of him.
Gary was a guy that's such a fun-loving guy. He was always pumped up and always gave me that extra burst of energy.
And he was the guy that kind of kept everybody in a good mood and was always smiling and always joking, and that will be sorely missed.
It's tough, but we definitely gonna put on this season for him. Make sure we go out and lay it on the line, and definitely remember Garrett.
And Sundays you see us out there playing, we're not only just playing to win the game, we're playing for Coach Reed, we're playing for Garrett also.
Garrett was supposed to be there, supposed to be here. All he talked about was the Super Bowl, and you know, when you're sitting there, that's the type of motivation that you need in order to push forward, and those are the things that I never forget.
Maybe that's part of the reason that the Eagles had a perfect preseason at 4-0, and they hope to keep going in the regular season that way. Garrett Reed passed away barely over a month ago.
Sometimes you look up there and all you see is one big light shining right at you.
It's a helpless feeling a lot of times, man.
You see spots. You don't want to get into a battle with the sun. Not a battle you're going to win.
Up the middle, and a great stop by Cozart. Back to first, a double play. Oh my, brilliantly turned by the rookie Cozart. And a good pickup by Frazier, the other rookie at first base. What a play.
Rex Hudler has been in so many. I mean, he played for 10 different major league teams as Escobar comes up with this long throw. What a play! That's the kind of play you'll find at the Royals fantasy camp.
That's not exactly accurate. What that throw was, and believe me, he knew who hit it. His fellow Venezuelan shortstop. So he says, you know what? I'm going to make you go back to the pine. Nice play.
Number 20, Auburn versus Clemson.
Boyd with time, and Watkins again, first down and more. A foot race, there goes Watkins. He'll take it all the way. Clemson lead, touchdown. 65-yard catch and run for a touchdown by true freshman Sammy Watkins, and Clemson leads for the first time.
It's a great zone beater and a man beater. Earlier in the game, they ran it against man. And same results here in zone coverage. Sammy Watkins slides away from the backer. Taj Boyd sits on his backhand, delivers a pass. That was high execution right there.
We got greatness in us. So I told them, you got greatness in you, but you got to make a decision to be great. They made a decision to be great today. And I couldn't think of a better place to end the street than Death Valley, South Carolina, baby.
I like it. You know, it gives us a better chance to make it to the postseason.
It's great. It's great. Playoffs are amazing. It kind of gives that Cinderella team a chance to take down the monsters.
When they started with the wild card, everybody questioned it. It turned out to be great. Expanding it makes it even better.
If you have an extra team in it, by all means, you know, bring it.
Once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen.
Prepare for your bones to rattle. Raw speed and power. Noise and flame mightiness. The loudest machines on the planet are here to roar. NHRA Drag Racing. It's louder on ESPN America.
Well, Wednesday night, the G-Men celebrated by hoisting their 4 Lombardi trophies. Eli Manning against Tony Manning, but Tony Romo. But the question is, after Michael Boley made the pick and returned it to the 2-yard line, Tyron Smith making the saving, it turned out to be horse collar and a flag, but a saving tackle. How about them Cowboy defense when Victor Cruz, marvelous year last year, not so much this game. Giants only got a field goal out of it, and it kind of, that and the fumble by the rookie took the wind out of their sails. Twice, Romo played brilliantly to Kevin Ogletree. Cowboys let it. Jerry Jones said we're going to go in and avenge those 2 losses last year, and guess what? They did. Romo, 40 yards for the touchdown to Ogletrees, and now Jerry can say, how about them Cowboys? Jason Garrett and company, they're 1-0 with a half a week off. Not bad. They played really sharp, both sides of the ball. Giants think Tom Coughlin surprised at the way they looked. But it's only 1 week. It's still the summer. Tom, Chris, the Bank of America game picks. What in the NFC East now?
Boom, Cece and I are going to rank the NFC East, and here's the way we're going to do it. We're in agreement on most, if not all of these. We're going to begin with number 4, the Washington Redskins. RG3 going to be a heck of a quarterback in the National Football League, but he's going to have to learn to play, going to go through some growing pains.
Tommy, no slight to them being the 4th team, probably the toughest division in football. The football team has improved, and they have their franchise quarterback.
He's got the right coach, Mike Shanahan. At number 3, we have the defending champion, the New York Football Giants. We got that sneak preview that you talk about. We saw that they have some problems on the back end, but this team only has to win 9 or 10 wins to get to the Super Bowl and win it.
And if they happen to be the 3rd best in the division, we know it's the best in football, but I like their postseason experience.
At number 2 is the Dallas Cowboys. We saw them on opening night beat the New York Football Giants. They fixed a specific problem. Their defensive backfield, Brandon Carr, Morris Claiborne, has changed the way Coach Ryan is going to coach defense in Dallas.
Money well spent. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do in December.
And at number 1, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe the most talented team in the NFC East. And yet I have to wonder, how many games will Nick Foles play for this football team?
That's probably the biggest question in the NFL this year. Does he play 2 games or does he play 6 games? Because this is a different football team with Michael Vick being on the football field.
Well, if he plays 6, they'd have a real problem.
So they are number 1. The toughest division in football, Tommy. We would agree with that. Some pretty good quarterbacks, too.
And that's it from here. Susie!
Okay, TJ. And now let's go back to the Giants, because there's no doubt that eventually the wins will come for the G-Men. What will be more difficult is the defending Super Bowl MVP QB to gain prominence at his own position. Not in the league, but in the town he plays in. Here's the main event season opener.
He's the sexy one. He's the anointed one. He's Peyton's brother. It's good for Eli Manning that success in the NFL isn't based solely on Google search word count, because all Eli has to go on are those 2 Super Bowl titles.
One of those deals in New York, you win a Super Bowl, but I'm the 3rd most talked about quarterback right now between Mark and Tim.
Sanchez, Tebow Sanchez.
Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
QB Mark Sanchez. Tim Tebow. Mark Sanchez.
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow. We're talking about Mark Sanchez.
Their Jets teammates will tell you Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow are just there to play football.
They're just here to play football.
They don't write the stories, you know?
Indeed, Sanchez and Tebow have sought to downplay their celebrity and the attention given them. But still, the attention comes. This summer in New York's capital, Albany, where the Giants trained, it seemed Eli Manning would be able for once to take pride in being the most celebrated quarterback in town. Or so he thought. That was before this Elks Club decided to hold famous quarterbacks night. Poor Eli. Same night as bingo. They tore the roof off the sucker. Joe Namath was there. Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow made the trip. Tom Brady arrived by Learjet. The Heisman winner attended, and so did Peyton Manning. So you're the exalted ruler?
I am.
Can I call you Kevin?
Exalted ruler would be good.
Why did you stay to the event?
We're Giant fans and all, but really, can you name another player on the team besides Michael Strahan? And besides, bingo night needed a little sizzle.
The Elks Club sizzled like never before. It's like that when famous quarterbacks are on the scene. It's like that when Eli goes out on the town with his brother.
Susie and Merrill.
Kenny, his brother debuts with mega hype tonight, perhaps only matched on the radar by this guy, Tim Tebow, warming up at MetLife Stadium in massive scrutiny as the Jets host the Bills in the early game at MetLife. We'll be back.
Coming up, we're just getting started in the Big Apple. We put Tim Tebow in the sports science lab to see why he's so good at the goal line. And
Another outrageous offseason.
So excited.
We're excited.
Very excited.
Real excited.
Yes.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'd love to play here.
Evidence is clear.
Our DJ puts the needle down on the best sound since the Super Bowl.
Thursday Night Football live on ESPN America. The oldest rivalry in football comes to Lambeau. Can Cutler guide the Bears to a historic win on the road? Or will Rodgers and the Pack outsmart their bitter rivals in this early season showdown? Bears and Packers, Thursday at 0200 CET, live on ESPN America.
O'Shaver's delivery to him, that ball's in the air. Is that numero uno? Yeah! Goodbye, home run! Manny Machado delivers with his first major league dinger. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way. And he lifts that one. That's going to the corner. Manny Machado, goodbye, home run! In his second major league ball game, a 2-homer game.
That ball hit high and deep. Way back. Reddick doesn't move. You can put it on the board. Yes! Yes! A walk-off, his first major league homer for Jordan Jacks, and the Sox win it 4-3. Yes! Armas belts one to left field. This one is deep. This one is gone! The first career grand slam for Clint Armas.
Hit the pole. You can hear it ring.
Pirates lead 6-5. Again, Gomez with 8 stolen bases on the season. And a little cat and mouse game going on there. Gomez reluctant to go all the way back to first if Corbin's not going to throw.
Well, he's been able to keep Gomez honest. He really has. I mean, fans don't like it, but that's what he's supposed to do.
Now he goes, and the throw is into center field. Gomez will go to third base. Here's the throw, and he's in there. The ball gets by and goes into the stands, and Gomez is going to score, and the Brewers win it. What a finish. Milwaukee will take it 2-1 and win the series.
2 errors, and they're going to have to fly home to Arizona, scratching their head about what happened on that last play.
ESPN Player is your online source for March Madness.
Gilbert knocked it down.
You can catch all the action from the men's 2012 NCAA tournament. Every round, including the Final Four and the National Championship game. Plus, you can pause and rewind the action so you never miss a play from the big dance.
They're going dancing.
It's all live and all from $9.99. Get into the madness with College Pass on ESPN Player. Sign up now.
Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM. Brought to you by Audi. Truth in engineering.
I replayed them over and over in my head.
The New York Giants have eliminated the #1 seed Green Bay Packers
It leaves a bitter taste in your mouth.
as they come to Lambeau Field and outplay Green Bay.
In Green Bay, it's about winning championships. Just going to playoffs is not enough.
That provides that spark for this year, getting back to where we want to go, and that's the Super Bowl.
Well, the Green Bay Packers took defending their Super Bowl title from 2010 very seriously. You remember last year they began 13-0, lost only once, scored 560 points, which is the second best all time. And they saw Aaron Rodgers win the MVP behind a performance that included 45 touchdown passes only 6 picks. Yet in the playoffs, as just alluded to, the New York Giants came to Lambeau and waltzed away with a 37-20 win en route to their own Super Bowl. So much for frozen tundra. The bad taste you heard the Pack just speak about better be replaced by immediate concentration, because into town today come the second seed from last year's NFC playoffs, the San Francisco 49ers, whose storybook 13-3 season was also derailed by those spoil sport G-men in the NFC title game in overtime. The Niners came out of nowhere under first-year coach Jim Harbaugh, making the postseason for the first time in 9 years. This is what you'd call a big-time opener. On to Lambeau and Colleen Dominguez. Hi, Colleen.
Hey, Boomer. Well, Packers linebacker A.J. Hawk said what a lot of people are probably thinking when he told me, we're all wondering what we're going to see from Randy Moss. How much a part of their game plan is he going to be? Moss is going to get the start here at Lambeau after being out of the game for almost a year. Now, this is a stadium where he has the most receiving touchdowns of any opposing player. When I asked 49ers offensive coordinator, what's the Randy ratio going to be? He said, well, we really don't have a ratio, but we have a plan. We're going to adjust accordingly. Moss acknowledged his success at Lambeau earlier this week when he said, you know, my comeback, or whatever you want to consider it, Lambeau, well, it's a nice place for it to start. He could be matched up against his former Raiders teammate, Charles Woodson. Woodson is shifting over to the safety spot in that revamped Packers defense. Dom Capers said, look, it's a position he's played before, but Capers told me Woodson is also going to see time at the nickel, the dime, and the corner. Boomer?
All right, Colleen, thank you. It's a later kickoff this afternoon at Lambeau. That's going to be an excellent game. And Randy Moss, your teammate, Chris, on the 98 Vikings, a team that also went 15-1. So you've lived a little bit what these Packers are living, a hangover, if you will. Will it last? How do they overcome?
This is the thing with the Packers and the team I was on with the Vikings. When you win 15 games in an NFL season, you're a very good football team. The advantage that the Packers have, at the time we were the best wide receiving core in the NFL, but they have the best player in the NFL in Aaron Rodgers. What they've done defensively, I believe, will pay dividends, but when you have the best player, it's a lot easier to carry it over. Another thing they had on the Vikings was they had a championship pedigree. They've already won a Super Bowl. So they know what it takes. There's a group of guys in the building that know what it takes to win a Super Bowl. I believe there will be no hangover, and I believe they will be as good as last year or not better.
I think they'll be, like CC said, probably just as good. But they need to fix the defense. They need to get to the quarterback, something that they didn't do in a playoff game against the New York Giants. If they can somehow figure out how to get some sacks from that up front unit and not bring players out of the secondary because they have to blitz to get to the quarterback. Now, if they can stop that from happening, the offense is the offense. Keep Greg Jennings healthy, keep those guys healthy on the offensive side of the football, they can put up the points. And, you know, it's a tough division, you know, with Chicago and Detroit emerging. It's a tough division, but I think they still can, you know, 15-1, 14.
But Mike McCarthy's not worried about the hangover. He's worried about fixing what you said. The pass rush, defensive secondary, and the offensive pass protection. Period.
Well, I think if you look at the defense, they did go a long way toward fixing it with the 6 draft picks. And I think, you know, you heard the mention of Charles Woodson moving to safety. This is a guy who was built to be a safety. Great corners, Rod Woodson, Ronnie Lott. When these guys get a chance to make that move, and especially if you have a guy who is ready to play that position, has the mentality to play that position, they are already an improved defense, Boom.
You know, to credit the Packers, and certainly not discredit what the Giants did, because that was impressive. You've never heard them mention the finish, you know, the son of Joe Philbin during the offense. They've never used that as an excuse, nor would they, but it was a weird finish for them, a weird spot for them. They do have Cedric Benson this year. They think he can help them run the ball, and obviously in tough situations. How about the Pack's openers? 2 games in 4 days. They play the Niners today at Lambeau, and then who was it Thursday night?
They play the Bears on Thursday night.
Lambeau.
I mean, listen. This is an outstanding, guys. You know, the Giants beat them, but this is an outstanding football team. Come on.
2 games in just 4 or 5 days for the Pack, and we'll learn a lot about them. That's for sure. Well, you alluded to it, fellas. Lurking in the NFC North, Detroit finished 10-6. They made the postseason for the first time since 1999. The Lions started out 5-0. They had the league buzzing. Matthew Stafford threw for 5,000 yards, his first healthy season. Calvin Johnson, all-world. But the Lions seemingly became more impressed with their toughness at times rather than their ability to play smart football. and it ended up slowing a meteoric rise. They opened today at home against a rebuilding St. Louis Rams team at 2-14 that's now the youngest team in the league with one of the NFL's most experienced coaches. That would be Jeff Fisher, who returns after a year's hiatus from the league. Did the Lions learn from their rambunctious play? Well, the offseason news said that maybe they did not. Running back Mikel is sure they want to get him on the field. Who knows when? He charged a couple of times in February and March with marijuana possession, so he's been suspended the first 2 games of the season for violating the substance abuse policy. Nick Fairley came in with a rap sheet, if you will, arrested and charged DUI, marijuana possession. He's also hurt, so that's different. Aaron Berry, corner, arrested on suspicion of DUI and arrested and charged with simple assault in Pennsylvania. He was let go. Time to get down to business for Detroit.
Every player was very well aware of the stakes that were in play for, the break before training camp. Knowing what the stakes were going into it, if somebody could make really bad errors in judgment and bad decisions in that short period of time, what would they do during a big game? What would they do when the stakes were just as high? And it was very, very disappointing.
Well, head coach Jim Schwartz did cut the starting cornerback, as we mentioned. Their Berry is gone, but really, fellas, I mean, how do the Lions fix this? They got a good team. They can't let this get in the way. How do they fix it?
Boom, I think the fix is really on 2 guys. One you just heard from, Coach Schwartz. I think that he's got to be able to sit down man-to-man with his players and talk to them about the kind of people and players he wants them to be on and off the field. But before he can do that, he has to control himself. I think that they cannot see him as out of control on the field and then have him talking to them about how they're going to act.
Well, they didn't have a character problem before. They just had a bunch of bad football players.
Right.
But Martin Mayhew and Jim Schwartz, their problem is now, in upgrading that talent on that roster through the draft and free agency, that they have occurred some problems, and that's the personality problems. I'd much rather deal with this talented roster that they have now compared to the roster didn't have a lot of talent on it before, Coach.
Guys, one thing I got to say. I am living proof that an out-of-control coach can get out-of-control players under control if he wants to.
Okay. Well, and the other guy we should mention is Ndamukong Suh. I mean, Ndamukong Suh is the leader of this football team, and he is a guy who absolutely has to lead by example.
From that leader, back to our leader. Back to you, Boom.
All right, fellas, thank you. And this is a leader, Jeff Fisher. Jim Schwartz with him on his staff all the way up to defensive coordinator for years in Tennessee. Now, Jeff Fisher is trying to do what Schwartz did in Detroit. Turn water into wine with, as Chris said, they didn't have a lot of good football players. Now what's St. Louis going to be? Do they start to rise like Jim Schwartz did in Detroit? We'll be back.
Still ahead on Sunday NFL Countdown.
In life and in sports, we all know that nothing lasts forever.
From Joe Namath to Joe Montana to Brett Favre, no legend is safe.
Look, any good competitor wants to say, I can still play.
Plus, a rookie revival.
Here's Griffin rolling. Touchdown.
He's got the total package.
With 5 QBs starting week 1, we go inside the film room for something the NFL has never seen before. Coming up next.
You are watching Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
Gentlemen, this is a new season, and for your sake, you should be thankful. Haller, Corso, Herb Street.
They're calling you out.
It's like days of our lives.
Who cares that they lost to Washington?
Watch out. Some of those thoughts and opinions last year wouldn't cut it in my camp. You can do better than that, boys. This is time for some revenge. My picks would run circles around you.
I'm going to go with Cal.
Hook 'em hard.
I like the Cornhuskers.
Roll Tide.
I'm going to go with Wisconsin.
Southern California.
Oh, look at the love.
What were you thinking? Oh.
Driven to deep center. Span going back at the wall. Makes the catch. Oh, what a catch by Denard Span. A great play by the Twin center fielder.
him, and it also sets up where you're going to play guys defensively.
Revere running and diving and making a spectacular catch. Ben Revere with one of the best catches of the year.
Watch his eyes all the way into the glove. Perfect.
One of the most instinctive, gifted football players I've ever seen, Charles Woodson. Throws the right side, and it's intercepted. Wow. Oh, Charles Woodson with an electric interception. What an athletic interception by Charles Woodson. This is like taking candy from a baby. Orton looking, throws the left side. Intercepted. Woodson down the sideline to the end zone. Touchdown, Charles Woodson.
Can you say first ballot Hall of Fame?
Oh, yes.
Celebration begins.
He hit it again. It's absolutely astonishing.
See ya! A long home run off the bat of Robinson Cano.
I had that name because of Jackie, my dad. He admired Jackie Robinson, the way he came up to the big leagues, all the situation he went through, and then he told my mom, I want to put my son that name. She didn't want that name. He ended up convincing my mom, and but I would say it's a good thing, you know. He was a second base, I'm a second base. He wore 42, I wore 24. I mean, there's a lot of things like, you know, I like to help people. He do the same thing, and I mean, it's really weird. So for me, it's more than an honor that got his name. He was the one that opened the doors for us. How good is the game now? You got people from all over the world.
Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
Some big-name running backs had big-time surgeries last offseason or during the season. Torn ACL, Week 2, Jamal Charles, Chiefs. He was gone for the year. He's back. Week 13, after a great start, Matt Forte, right MCL sprain, hurt oddly enough against the Chiefs for the Bears. He was gone for the year. Of course, the Christmas Eve, Week 16, Adrian Peterson against the Redskins for the Vikings. Torn ACL and MCL. How he's even back is amazing. He's amazing anyway. And the final week of the regular season, Rashard Mendenhall, Steelers at the Browns, tore his right ACL. So, yeah, pretty tough stuff. And we look for these guys this season at some point. Well, ACL and MCL surgery. Play pro football. Adrian Peterson is back for the Vikings. Second-year Minnesota. Under the tutelage now. Last year, the offensive coordinator. Orton had him back inside of Mr. Outside. We have Maurice Jones.
That Mike Mularkey has installed, so he's all of training camp. Some regular series. I think at least 15 times. Not out of the question. Mike Mularkey.
This season's who's in Adrian Peterson. Not only is he going to start today, the Vikings announced time ago, 9 months having that surgery. Peterson will start. There's still workload for Toby Gerhart, but Peterson will be out there today, more.
And Arian Foster will start for the Houston Texans. Why is this a big deal? Well, on Thursday, his knee came up sore, and there was some question as to whether they would use him today against the Dolphins with Ben Tate and Justin Forsett behind him, but he'll start. And I think it will cut down some of his carries, though.
More later today, the Seahawks and Cardinals will play, and the Seahawks had some concerns about Marshawn Lynch and the back spasms he's been experiencing this summer. but they've made the decision to play him. He is expected to be out there. He's probably not going to get the full workload. Some carries will be there for rookie running back Robert Turbin, but Lynch expected to play.
Carolina Panthers gave Jonathan Stewart a big new contract extension, but he's not going to be there today. He has a sprained ankle, so D'Angelo Williams will get the start. They have Mike Tolbert as the fullback. They have Cam Newton. They also have a lot of rain and thunder and lightning in Tampa. How's it look for you, Sal Powell, out there in New York?
Hey, two big injury notes here at MetLife Stadium. One, the Buffalo Bills starting wide receiver, leading receiver last year, will start. He had that groin injury. Very important that he starts because the Bills had 313 offensive snaps out of the 4 wide receiver set last year, most in the National Football League. For the Jets, however, Sinoe Boha, they're the starting defensive tackle, veteran nose tackle, will not play in this game because of a back injury. Why is that important? Because when the Bills spread it out, Rex Ryan gets out of his 3-4 base, uses the 4-3 nickel, and they will need extra defensive tackles today. Boha not available.
I'm Bob Holtzman in Chicago, where, as expected, Bears linebacker Brian Urlacher will start today. However, Colts wide receiver Austin Collie will not play today. Collie suffered his 3rd concussion during the preseason. I just had a chance to talk to him. He looked great during warm-ups, but he told me it's a doctor's and coach's decision, and they have decided he's not ready. So Austin Collie is inactive today. Donnie Avery will start in his place.
I'm Ed Werder in New Orleans. Will Smith benefits from reinstatement, starts at defensive end. Marcus Colston, a wide receiver, missed some of the week with foot injury. He'll also start. And Jonathan Vilma, exempt from the active roster, can't play but will be involved after the coin toss at midfield with the team captains. I'm told he will lead the crowd in the Who Dat chant, setting the tempo for the day. Let's go to Morton Adam.
Thanks, Ed. Well, one little note from that game is Rex Grossman is the inactive 3rd quarterback. That means Kirk Cousins, the rookie, has won the number 2 job behind Robert Griffin III, also the rookie who makes that start today for the Saints. So let's take a look at some other inactives. One is Justin Blackman of the Jaguars. He had an ankle injury, but he's good to go against the Minnesota Vikings.
And more, you look at the Chiefs defense today. Brandon Flowers, their cornerback, inactive. Their safety, Kendrick Lewis, inactive. And they're already without Tom Ali. Some notable other actives and inactives. Brooks Reed, active for the Dolphins, so the Houston Texans get back Brooks Reed, and they get back Arian Foster as Justin Blackman also is active today. We'll have plenty more when we come back.
Coming up, Destination Denver.
I called John Elway Monday morning and let him know that I wanted to be a Denver Bronco.
He's not the first icon to change his stripes.
Weird.
Well, it's hard to look at, initially when you first put it on.
I don't know if I ever really got used to it.
Favre, Montana, and Namath give Peyton Manning words of wisdom. And he's back.
Nobody cared. Did you care who you were playing against? The better they were, the more you wanted them, right?
And madder than ever.
You got a chance to take these guys to the playoffs. Get pumped up. Go crazy once in a while.
It's the segment sweeping the nation. Find out who's making the coach say,
"Stop it."
Plus 2 fateful fumbles.
People can say what they want about me. I'll take it. I know that's part of the territory. I knew it was coming.
Keyshawn sat down with Kyle Williams to see how he got over his championship game gaffes.
This September on ESPN America, the temperatures are cooling down, but the action is heating up. The hunt for October is on as the MLB's top teams gear up for the pennant races. Plus, it's that time of year again. It's back to campus as college football returns. And the new NFL season kicks off. Get ready for all the hits, all the catches, and all the glory. The brightest stars, the biggest games, all month long live on ESPN America.
Fly ball out to right, pretty well hit. And it's going to land right in the well as Paul had no idea where it was going to land. The wind got a hold of it. He might have been bothered by the sun.
He wasn't even in the same zip code.
And Brandon Phillips doing what we're doing right now.
Yankees scored 2 runs on 1 hit. As there's a looper towards center field, and it's going to be off the glove of Johnson. Nix will go to third, and he's going to hold on there. Looked like it hit his glove and then his head.
Wow. Just when you think you've seen everything.
That's not a way you want to get on SportsCenter right there.
Ooh.
Doink. Oops upside your head.
I think it's important for us to, grow the game internationally outside of our borders. We believe we have a great product. We believe the NFL is a great organization. So to be a part of it is very special. We want to share it with the rest of the world. We know that a lot of people view the Super Bowl, but we would like to have their interest the entire season and not just for one game. First and foremost, we have to continue to educate and promote the game worldwide. But once people can actually get a great understanding for it, the technicality of it, the way we scheme.
Get a little depth, take it slow, and hit the tight end on the vertical.
It's not just about hard hits and flashy touchdown dances, but it's actually some strategic behind it. And once people understand that and can get a hold of it, I think the game will take on like wildfire.
I'm not going to sit up here and tell you I was a goody-goody. Did I rob and I steal? Yes. But was I a murderer? No.
What if I told you about a man wrongfully accused, full of anger and frustration, a man shaped by violence? What if I told you he never gave up? ESPN Films presents The Dewey Bozella Story, only on ESPN America.
Gentlemen, look around.
Touchdown, Redskins! Tannehill looks like a first-round pick on this drive. Touchdown, Seahawks! He looks right, he throws right, he's got a man, it's complete. He's caught for a touchdown for the Colts!
These are your classmates, your peers, and your point of comparison throughout your career. Welcome to the NFL.
And welcome indeed. Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III were expected to start as soon as they were drafted 1-2. Wisconsin's Russell Wilson was expected to be a later round draft pick, then he skyrocketed up the board, being selected by Seattle in the 3rd round. Pete Carroll watched this dynamo skyrocket some more during training camp and preseason, where, by the way, the Seahawks were a perfect 4-0. And now Carroll has tabbed him to start for the Seahawks on opening day in Arizona, even though they signed Matt Flynn in the offseason to play quarterback, Aaron Rodgers' backup in Green Bay. Seattle had a 2-6 first half a year ago, 5-3 second half. Even better second half, way below the radar in the NFC West, belonged to the Arizona Cardinals. They started 1-6, finished 7-2 en route to a very quiet 8-8 finish, winning 4 games in overtime, many due to those punt return heroics of then rookie Patrick Peterson. John Skelton from Fordham starts at quarterback for Arizona. Susie, Jaws, all eyes on this game, focused on Russell Wilson here in the Big Toaster.
Yeah, you know what? We had Pete Carroll on NFL 32 shortly after he had drafted Wilson. And maybe it was foreshadowing when he said he's coming here to take the job, and he certainly did. As we know today, 5 rookie quarterbacks will start. It's unprecedented. So take us through what you've seen in the preseason. Now that they're playing NFL football, who's impressed you the most? Let's start.
Well, Susie, the eye in the sky doesn't lie, and I broke down all 5 quarterbacks in the small sampling the preseason. Andrew Luck, to me, was the most polished. The little things, the eye discipline, eye manipulation, eyes down the field, not allowing the defense to read where he's going with the football. These are veteran-like moves that Andrew Luck shows. Watch the eye. I love the close-up shot. You can see he's not staring down a receiver. He's looking down the middle of the field, holding the safety there. Now he snaps his head over the right and throws this perfect strike for a Colts touchdown.
How about Ryan Tannehill?
Ryan Tannehill was very impressive to me. He was poised in the pocket, sometimes Marino-like, I dare to say. Here's an NFL-type throw. The cover 2 coverage, which you see a lot of now, the predominant coverage in NFL. A little firm touch throw on that one, and his back shoulder throw right here. Again, this is not a rookie-type throw. This is a veteran-type throw. He won the starting job over Matt Moore with throws like this, NFL-type throws.
RG3.
RG3, love this guy. The sampling's small, only 31 throws in the preseason, but you saw the same things you saw when he was coming out of Baylor. The accuracy, the arm strength. Watch him set in the pocket. Now he's going to look to his right. That's where he's looking to go. But he stays on his back foot. Good mechanic, stays on balance, comes back, and it's Pierre Garçon to his left. I love the way this ball spins. Right on the numbers of Pierre Garçon. Accuracy allows him yards after the catch.
And here's Wilson.
Russell Wilson, like this guy as well. And he earned the starting job in Seattle by making plays, running around. But he's got to learn to get the ball out of his hand when there is quick pressure. As you'll see right here, he's got a little check down route. And as a young quarterback, he'll learn from this. He ran that play because he can. Got to learn to get the ball out of his hand. Here, a shot play. All the receivers are covered. Take the check down. Take the positive play. You don't always need the home run. Sometimes you win games by hitting singles. Here, he takes off and gets the run, the yardage with his feet.
Brandon Weeden.
I'll tell you what, big, strong arm. Loved a lot of things I saw, but he had a tendency to stare down receivers. This is an area he has to work at. NFL secondaries will read his eyes, take him to the ball, just like the Detroit Lions did here. This is a cardinal sin in the National Football League. You cannot stare down receivers. You cannot predetermine throws, or else you will find yourself making mistakes. But, Susie, this has been amazing. I watched these 5 rookie quarterbacks. They look like veterans for the most part.
But what a tough start for Weeden and his head coach, Pat Shurmur, his roots with Andy Reid. He knows what's coming. Speaking of starts, Andrew Luck will make his rookie debut. He's got the Bears. Said he did get some sleep last night, though. Expectations high. We'll be back.
When bold performances create perfect moments.
History tonight in San Francisco.
When a rookie steals the spotlight and a phenom captures the imagination. When no-hitters are numerous. Where home runs multiply. When tradition translates into victory.
That ball is scored.
And improbability is outweighed by hope. When history happens next. Catch the postseason on ESPN America.
Number 14, Mississippi State versus Auburn.
Here we go, 18 seconds left, first and goal, Bulldogs. They'll line up in the end. Stop. And the clock continues to tick. 10 seconds. Timeout. Dan Mullen is all the way down at the goal line.
Stay with what got you here, spread out, put Chris Relf back there where he gets a running start, if that's where you choose to go. You know the options coming here.
Relf. Stop shot. No timeouts left. 3, 2, 1. Ball game. Can you believe it? The Tigers have done it again. In dramatic fashion. 41-34. The streak is alive at 17.
I like the play call by Dan Mullen at the end of that game. I went back.
Of course you do.
I went back and
game.
watched the tape. They had not been throwing it very well throughout the entire game. Again, they ran the football for over 330 yards. And if you go back and look at the last 2 drives they needed to get back into the game, they were gashing them with the option play. Auburn could not hold the edge. Vic Ballard kept getting outside. And it's a play on the goal line. You think I got a 250-pound quarterback? He can go get a yard. Get me a yard, and let's get this game into overtime.
Their 2-minute drill was running the ball.
That's
what
it.
they were doing.
Pretty good 2-minute drill if it works.
Standing ovation. And the celebration begins.
It's absolutely astonishing.
See ya! A long home run off the bat of Robinson Cano.
I had a name because of Jackie, my dad. He admired Jackie Robinson, the way he came up to the big leagues, all the situations he went through, and then he told my mom, I want to put my son that name. She didn't want that name. He ended up convincing my mom, and but I would say it's a good thing, you know. He was a second base, I'm a second base. He wore 42, I wore 24. I mean, There's a lot of things like, you know, I like to help people. He do the same thing, and I mean, it's really weird. So for me, it's more than an honor to got his name. He was the one that opened the doors for us. How good is the game now? You got people from all over the world.
Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM. This hour on Sunday NFL Countdown, we go inside the huddle and under the helmet with two future stars.
Blitz time, let's pick it up, let's gas them now.
Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III are mic'd up in soundtracks. Plus, the coach is back.
Somebody got killed.
And he has a couple of words for some individuals around the NFL.
Stop it.
The segment Sweeping America, coming up.
All right, Sunday stretch, we get you set to see who's warming up, who's getting set. Tommy, why don't you start down in the bayou?
Well, Boom, of the 5 rookies that are going to start at quarterback, RG3 really got the toughest task going to New Orleans with all the Saints have been through in the offseason and attempting to play in that dome. But strong arm, has great movement. Mike Shanahan will do everything he can to take advantage of that, give the Skins a chance to win.
Tommy, I'm going to stay right there in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Drew Brees has a lot on his shoulders. He's got to be the guy to help the offensive coordinator call the right plays to put the team in the right situation, because there will be no Sean Payton on that sideline. I think he can do that. He can march the team down the field against this Washington Redskins team. I'm excited to see him play.
Well, I'm going to go to Chicago, and I'm going to go with Jay Cutler, and this guy has talent galore. Here's what I would tell him. You use all your tools today. You get the ball out on time. Do not be afraid to waste a play if it isn't there. Do not turn the ball over, and most of all, be the leader of this offense.
Coach, I'm going to stay in Chicago. Maybe you can recommend where I can get something to eat. If Cutler's going to be successful, it's going to be thrown to this guy, Brandon Marshall. As we watch NFL players develop, guys, we'll be talking about this more often than we're used to. Mental health. Brandon Marshall's mentally healthy. He's got a different medication. He's found out some issues this offseason. He's working with some people. Look for big things. He's in great shape. As a lot of wide receivers say, the best shape of his life.
Well, Buffalo at the Jets, and in case you hadn't heard, Tim Tebow's on the Jets this year. How and how often he'll be used behind, with, instead of Mark Sanchez, we'll see. He's the up man on the punt situation as well, so will that be involved in Mark Sanchez? The Jets offense, number 1 and number 2 teams didn't score a touchdown. Can they do it in the preseason? Can they do it against the Buffalo Bills, who also have a lot to try to prove here after a winless preseason as well? Last year's AFC wildcard playoffs began with a bang. First play from scrimmage in overtime, Tim Tebow, we just saw him, to Demaryius Thomas, Broncos, 80 yards. Broncos shocked the Steelers in overtime in Denver, 29-23. Peyton Manning has done a million amazing things on the football field. You know what, though? He hadn't done that, at least not yet. Peyton's new career begins in Denver under the lights against the same team that was under the lights last January, the Steelers. Last year's Broncos were 8-8, but they won the tiebreakers to become the AFC West champs. Last year's Steelers were 12-4, but lost the AFC North tiebreakers to become the wildcard team, hence the road game and the loss. The whispers have begun. Are the Steelers getting too long in the tooth on defense? Don't tell this to Mike Tomlin, whose team ranked first in total D and fewest points allowed last year, and at last check, they still had Big Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback. And Denver has Manning, after essentially he was told in Indy, after a year away with neck surgery, that his time had come. So Peyton doesn't finish as a Colt, just as Brett Favre didn't finish as a Packer, Joe Montana didn't finish as a Niner, and Joe Namath did not finish as a Jet.
The only professional football I've known has been Colts football. This has certainly not been easy for me. It truly has been an honor to play in Indianapolis. I will leave the Colts with nothing but good thoughts and gratitude. I truly have enjoyed being your quarterback.
As shocking as Peyton Manning's release from Indianapolis seemed, it wasn't the first time a Super Bowl winning quarterback was jilted by his own team. Several other iconic figures were similarly discarded, waived or traded to finish their careers in unfamiliar uniforms.
For 16 years, I'd basically done the same routine, put on same colors, and it was different.
It's hard to look at, initially when you first put it on, and then you get used to it pretty quick.
I knew the Jets were rebuilding, and I didn't belong there.
Embracing new loyalties, learning new systems and teammates can be daunting challenges, each making success more elusive.
The newness of everything does take up some of your focus.
I think the route running is the most difficult thing that you get used to with, in a system, and it takes a long time.
You stress over, can these guys get it? Like in Peyton's case, it's now or never for me. And I think guys kind of will say that, but in the back of their minds, it will take forever. And it's never the case.
If you got guys who are looking at more of the future than now, then you already have a problem.
Pressure and expectation collide. Quarterbacks deemed expendable by their former teams are now anointed Super Bowl or bust acquisitions by the new one.
It's the kind of pressure you don't want to share with anyone else. You don't want to tell them what you're thinking sometimes or what you're feeling when you're alone.
When we were playing Green Bay, I had never felt stressed like that in my life. Even though I felt like I had nothing to prove. Nothing to prove. I had a lot to prove.
Highly motivated, they could never quite make their former teams feel the ultimate regret. Montana, Namath, and Favre never appeared in another Super Bowl, although Favre was perhaps one completion away just 2 years ago.
Brett Favre goes back to pass, he pumps. Now he fires over the middle, intercepted. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
I guess we're all old and washed up. I don't know. I think we came close, so have other guys.
You always want to stay with one team. If I could have stayed in San Francisco, yeah, I would have loved to stay in San Francisco, but I don't regret anything about being in Kansas City.
I kind of wish I would have stayed. I was being selfish again. I was thinking of myself and being on a championship team or having a shot. If I had it to do over again, I'd stayed right there.
I am thrilled to be here. I'm looking forward to doing everything I can to help this franchise win another Super Bowl.
If Manning achieves his stated goal, he'll make history yet again. Either way, it's been a very long time since he's had so much to prove.
It doesn't surprise me that Peyton wants to show the world that he is still the top quarterback.
My opinion with Peyton is that there's probably a renewed excitement, some anxiety that he's probably doesn't remember the last time he's felt that.
I think we'd all get a smile if you're uncomfortable having left a place because they need to make a change. Peyton might have a little bit of a part of him that says, hey, you should have never let me go.
That's great hearing from those guys, isn't it? It doesn't get much better than that. So, in the Super Bowl era, only 6 starting quarterbacks. Peyton Manning is 36. 36 are the playoffs in their first season with a new team. Reds Vikings, which almost made the Super Bowl, as Ed showed us. Great job there. Earl Morrall, of course, they never lost the game. 72 Dolphins. He started more than Greasy that year, actually. Warren Moon with the 94 Vikings at 38 made it. Jeff Garcia with the 07 Bucks. You forget that one. Montana, of course, the Chiefs were in the AFC Championship game. They lost to Buffalo. Doug Flutie had the Bills in the playoffs in 1998 at the age of 36. Back to Denver, where Tebow Mania has been more than taken over by Peyton Passion. Here's Josina Anderson again. Hi, Josina.
Good morning, Boom. You know, one intriguing angle to watch for tonight and really throughout this season will be Peyton Manning's impact on wide receiver Demaryius Thomas. Now, even though Eric Decker led all Broncos receivers through the preseason, Thomas has said he's confident his connection with Manning will improve, saying this week, Manning has made me a smarter receiver and he's teaching me how to run routes the way he wants them to be run. Now, as for Mike Wallace, he told me that he doesn't feel he should be limited in any way tonight, but will go go off of Mike Tomlin's call. As a precaution, though, wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders told me that he took extra snaps at Wallace's spot this week in practice. But still, this game comes down to Peyton Manning and that Steelers defense. And since his first meeting against the Steelers, no other team has sacked Manning more on average per game, with a total of 11 sacks in 4 meetings. Boom.
All right, Josina, thank you very much. Certainly, we'll marquee game tonight in Denver. What do we get, Key? We'll start with you with Manning in Denver this year, tonight and moving forward.
I think you get Peyton Manning. I think you get the same guy. He has the arm strength. He'll still have the accuracy. But with that being said, you won't get the playoff team that you got in Denver a year ago. I mean, when you look at this football team, there's not a lot of pieces around Peyton Manning. He has 2 tight ends in Jacob Tamme and Joel Dreesen. These guys were not first-line guys when they were in their other teams. They came over as backups. Okay, you look at it, Demaryius Thomas that he's trying to get accustomed to still. And on top of that, we all know Peyton Manning is the guy who wants to be in charge. Okay, I understand that they have a running game and all that. Imagine Peyton Manning waving off Mike McCoy when he wants to go for it. That's Peyton Manning. He could have done that in Indianapolis. Will he be able to take control like that of this football team in John Fox, Tommy?
But I don't know if he wants to have complete and utter control
He's
of the team
Tom,
like that.
he knows nothing different,
but hold on. I think that he has acquiesced at least some to this coaching staff as they go forward. I'm going to be clear with people. I was out there with him for 5 days. Here's what you have. You are right. Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning. His work ethic has been translated to the rest of the football team. Those guys that you say are kind of, bums, or describing them as almost bums.
You want me to say it?
What was
bums to Peyton Manning?
What was Indy when he left? I'm just telling you that Peyton Manning is going to make those guys play at a high level. I think they're good players as well, and he's got things that he's never had. An offensive line that's used to run blocking, not just pass blocking. A running game that's dependable. And all of that is going to make those receivers better. If they can go 8-8 with a guy who can barely complete a pass, then I'm going to say that they can do better with a guy who might be the best quarterback in football.
Tommy, they used to run blocking because that's all they did last year.
Okay, all right.
They can't pass block.
We're going to rerun this all season.
Right. I think the person, just because you're the loudest don't make you right, okay?
All right.
Now, what he needs to look at is what Brett Favre did. Not only when he went to Minnesota, but when he went to the Jets. When Brett Favre was healthy, he had that bounce. From being rejected in Green Bay, I believe Peyton's going to have that same bounce. I believe he's going to play well. He is going to be healthy, and I believe his personnel is a little bit better, definitely better than the personnel he had at Indy that he left them with. But I expect that bounce. I expect him to be excited about his pro career. He's very, very fortunate to be in this situation, Coach.
One of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Now, guys, I understand they should be better, and they probably will be better. They were 8-8 last year. They made the playoffs, as you guys said, with a quarterback that couldn't throw the ball. Now, are they going to be 12-4, 14-2, 10-6? I don't know what they're going to be. But they should be a better football team.
First of all, it was a different offense. So the defense was going to approach a different style. They were going to do things differently. Now when they have to throw the football and it's incomplete passes or 3-and-outs, that defense now has to come back on the field. The defense
3-and-out. They should be used to that 3-and-out.
Hold on. The defense is different. The defensive coordinator is now the head coach of the Oakland Raiders. So that's different. Okay, that defense is not going to be the same. It's a totally different situation. I like Peyton Manning, and I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine.
I can't tell that.
But overall, Tommy, as a team, I don't believe the
one thing I worry about? I know that Peyton wants to run a hurry up. Let's get to the line of scrimmage. Let's keep the defense.
Oh, is that what he wants to do?
Offense. No, here's what I'm telling you. But it's going to be difficult, I believe, or made more difficult with the replacement referees. We haven't mentioned them all day.
Yes.
That's another area that we're going to have to deal with.
And he's concerned about.
Yes, sure.
You know what I'm worried about more than that? Peyton said his favorite moment this summer was when he took a big hit at home and he bounced up and the whole crowd got up because he was fine. Look, he's not playing if he knows he could get seriously, if the next hit really could change a lot of things in his life. But we still hope that he bounces up after all these hits, win, lose, or draw. That's what I'm worried about. He needs to be reminded that he hasn't played for a year. That being said, does that mean he's going to be rusty? No, but I'm just saying. And I think the entire division can be 8-8 or better. So wins are going to be tough to come by there. Just a thought. Oh, by the way, there's a quarterback in Pittsburgh that's won 2 Super Bowls across the way, one more than Peyton and as many as Peyton's brother Eli. He's got a new offensive system under new coordinator Todd Haley in Pittsburgh Key, last year's Chiefs coach. There's also a wonder if this will all work.
Is there something about the offense you really like?